It was a night like any other. Quiet, peaceful, until tap, tap, tap. Ria woke up to the soft tapping sound. She turned in her bed but didn't open her eyes. Probably just a dream. Tap, tap, tap. This time a little louder. Her mind snapped awake. The room was dark except for a faint blue glow from the window curtains. She checked her phone. 2:33 a.m. Who could it be at this hour? She turned toward the door. It was closed, locked. But as she shifted in bed, her eyes fell on the window. And she saw it. Someone was standing outside. A tall, thin silhouette pressed against the glass. But Ria's room was on the 5th floor. The next morning, Ria checked the window. No marks. Maybe I imagined it, she thought. But that evening she saw them. Faint fingerprints smeared across the glass. From the outside. Her stomach clenched. How can anyone leave marks on the window? From the 5th floor? She quickly drew the curtains shut and locked the door. But that night, the tapping returned. Tap, tap, tap. This time, louder. Heart pounding, she turned toward the window. And this time, the shadow was inside. Ria screamed and flicked on the lights. The room was empty. No shadow. I'm losing my mind, she whispered. But then, she felt something beneath her feet. The wooden floor shifted under her toes, like something was breathing beneath it. She froze. And then, from under the bed, she heard a whisper. You opened the window, Ria. Her throat went dry. She slowly stepped off the bed. Creak. The floor felt soft, like it wasn't wood anymore. She grabbed her phone, fumbling to dial the police. But as she pressed the call button, a rough, guttural voice came from the phone speaker. Who are you calling? No one can hear you, Ria. The call cut off on its own. Tap, tap, tap. The knocking was everywhere now. On the window, on the door, and worst of all, inside the room. Ria turned toward the window. It was open, and hanging outside was something. A thin, shadowy figure with gleaming, crooked teeth. It was slowly crawling inside. I'm so hungry, Ria. You will be like me soon. The walls of the room began to move. The floor wasn't wood anymore. It was flesh, and it was feeding. Ria tried to run, but her feet sank into something warm and pulsing. She looked down. The floorboards had transformed into raw living meat, and it was pulling her down. She screamed. The next morning, the neighbors knocked on Ria's door. No response. The door was locked from the inside. When the police broke it open, the room was empty. The walls still whispered. The floor was cold. And the window closed. But there was something else. A faint reflection in the glass. A woman's face. Ria's face. Her eyes stared outward. Empty. Waiting. Waiting for someone to open the window again.